and I want to know what kind of life you've led up to this point. But I'm not interested in your bio in terms of your education and work, whatever. I want to know, when was the first time that you realized that you had interest in this kind of work?
As
How
far as
old?
Amazon or just the
No, no.
entrepreneurial?
You're telling me you were around, Amazon was around when you were a kid? No,
No,
I'm
no,
talking.
no, no. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. No, no. My father, I'm informed by my family. My father had his own business. He came from a family business that had been around for 100 years at that point. And that's all I knew, Nick. It's all I knew was my dad had his own company, and he grew that to a nice thing. And he was every conversation I interned for him. Everything I knew was wrapped around the
What kind
spirit.
of business was it?
He was in the hide and really the hide business. So he would buy. He was a broker, so he would buy from the meat packing houses, okay, on the phone in his office, and he would sell it to the tanneries. And over
That
decades and
business
decades,
stinks. That business stinks.
you know that business.
Listen, I had a transportation company.
Oh
I
yes.
had trucks, trailers, I mentioned, and hide. Hide is, it categorized dangerous goods. You cannot just ship it easily, and it does smell up whatever. So every single truck that was, a lot of carriers didn't want to touch it because it would stink up everything, and they would have to go through. And but we didn't mind. We specialized, so I
Well,
know
that
very
that
well.
that business reminds me again a lot of the boon of the FBA aggregators, where they went in and they just thought, and again, a lot of gotten a lot better, but back years ago, these FBA exclusive sellers, right? I didn't understand how they were making money, because the hide business and that business was very similar. And you're absolutely right. It's not only is it a stinky business, it turned out it developed into not a very good business. So my dad kind of got out of it in the sense, because they made all their money on tiny, tiny, tiny margins. They had to do massive volume to make a penny.
Yeah.
And the entire risk, and that's where he had to short, he had to long. It was a very high risk, high reward business. And if there was something wrong with the hides, then that screwed everything up. So I was just around that my whole life. You buy low, you sell high, all of the trials and tribulations. Almost went bankrupt once, he got saved. He had his biggest supplier go bankrupt, and he had to flip, and all of these ups and downs and emotional roller coasters. That's all I grew up with. That's all I knew. Fine. I knew how to do somewhat exposed to accounting and all those things. In college, I had my own tie-dye t-shirt business. I was buying t-shirts and selling to the fraternities. I mean, I have always been doing something of buying something and selling something.
So it almost conditioned you for this fight for margins, right?
Yes. And then
So
I
it's in your DNA, so to speak.
Yes, and then I was extraordinarily lucky. In 1995, I started working with the big brand. Got as a sub rep as the young guy for JanSport backpacks. And the greatest lesson I learned there was we sold everybody, Nick. We were in J.C. Penney's, we were in specialty outdoor stores. I mean, it was a backpack. And it was my first foray into a highly intensive seasonal business. Back to school. We had 6 weeks, almost 4 weeks sometimes, depending on part of the country, to make all of our money for the entire year. So that education of 70% of your revenue for the year comes in 6 weeks. That puts strains on every piece of the process and the supply and everyone, right? And we sold sporting goods. We sold everybody. And back then there was a million more sporting goods stores and all kinds of stores. And then so that's my first thing, learning the retail business and understanding margin, understanding cost per square inch, understanding the classic version of merchandising and how to be a great merchant. You make your money on the buy.
Yeah. But this doesn't always work.